Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of the Higher Ed Geek Podcast. Another special episode, just like last week. This one looking forward after looking back last week. So just following up, we've been doing the podcast for about a year now, and just kind of figuring out with a lot of different change in my life in the last year, kind of what the show looks like moving forward. Also been podcasting for a really long time, so I think my plans for kind of the year from now is hopefully, getting the podcast going again after the new year and remixing the format a little bit, maybe posting like bi-weekly and posting weekly episodes for several years, and just trying to make time for a little bit more flexibility. Really just enjoy talking to cool people and having this platform to kind of share what those people are about, what the work that they're doing, and all the resources and good things. I always say that I kind of learn as much from the episodes as I know the audience will. So I really just enjoy sharing out all that great content. So it's not stopping. It's just taking a break to reset and refocus. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe sometimes I'll do episodes like this where I'm just talking about something that's on my mind. Also just doing interviews, group interviews, or toyed around the idea of doing just like a recurring panel sort of talks about things. But yeah, I just want to give that kind of thoughts, kind of give myself the time to be bored and kind of have epiphanies and ideas and find inspiration elsewhere. And then in addition to that, I'm also hoping to work a little bit more on the ConnectEDU network as we have kind of settled in, and, the network's kind of uplifting the other shows in the network, hopefully adding some new shows here soon, and maybe just trying to get out to more conferences and kind of just spread the good word about higher ed podcasting. So I think a lot of that has been happening with some of the other contributors to the network, just trying to get the word out that way, but really just also committing myself to kind of doing my part there, because that also, is something that we're all kind of just giving our time for, and amidst many other things that we're all doing, it can sometimes be hard. So trying to give myself a little bit more kind of openness in my schedule to be able to commit to that more. And I kind of got into it or alluded to it in last week's episode about kind of where I am now and, figuring out what my life outside of work looks like. And, I feel like I'm in a really good place, and, I always do want to make time for the things that I enjoy, whether that's watching shows, movies, video games, reading, spending time with my wife or friends, or traveling, and all those sort of things. So, it's the idea that at a certain point I was busy and just continuing that momentum with many other things. Sometimes out of necessity of like, well, I really need to, maybe make a little bit more money, or I really feel this need because I'm trying to figure out what my next step in my career looks like. So I need to kind of be pushing myself out there. And at this point, I've got a great new job. Me and my wife are in a really good place with our family, and kind of all the things that go into adulting, all those kind of costs and things. My dog is healthy, which, took us a little bit of time to catch up on. So there's less of that necessity in terms of financial. With the new job, I'm really happy with this and hope to stay here for several years. So less of the need necessarily to kind of really go hard on trying to put myself out there to get my next opportunity. So just being in that good place, I just want to really just kind of refresh and figure out what I want my time outside of work to look like. I don't want to always have to be doing something all day, every day. So I want to try to be picky and, work with people that I enjoy working with, and find side projects and things to kind of nurture and nourish myself versus making it into a stressful balancing act. So that's definitely been kind of a change for me. And, there's always a lot of pressures out there in terms of like everyone starting their own business and being their own boss. And I think, that can often be easier said than done. And that's not necessarily anything that I want or need, especially now being able to work remotely, doing, continuing to do work in the online education space as I have been doing for the past 2 years. So that's really compounding, and I feel like I really have some good momentum going in my direction here for kind of distinguishing myself with my full-time work. So really excited for that. And yeah, I just want to continue to travel and kind of continue to learn more about the edtech space. I feel like a really good blog post coming up after I go out to meet and visit with some folks and kind of see what this new wave of education technology, and certainly more specifically, like within student affairs, folks like Room Pact and Presence really have my attention in terms of really cool work that they're doing. So yeah, more of that will be coming up. Some kind of almost, investigative journalism, not in the sense of like bringing up anything, but just trying to get like a firsthand account of kind of the way they work and the way things go with their organization. So that's just been something I'm stewing on, and almost just want to tease that out, and that will happen eventually, or the content will come out eventually. But so certainly in the meantime, as I'm kind of taking a break from the podcast, feel free to follow me and connect with me on social media. I'm pretty active on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all that. So Instagram as well. So wherever you want to find me, I'm happy to connect and happy to talk with folks and make time. So feel free to reach out. And as I said before, just really appreciate everyone's support. And it's been great to see this little show that I kind of launched on my own grow over time. So definitely just feel free to listen through episodes if you've missed any. Share the show, rate it, and all that. And I'll also mention moving forward, a great way to support the show is listening through a new partner app, Radio Public. They're a great supporter of podcasts in general. And just by listening, you can help support the show. Let's go definitely check out the show on Radio Public. You'll see the links to that in the show notes or on the blog. So again, just really appreciate your time listening to this episode and all the others and everyone's support. And look forward to episodes coming back in 2019, and have a great rest of your day. This podcast is part of the ConnectEDU Podcast Network, bringing together diverse voices in the higher ed community. Check us out on Twitter at ConnectEDUPod or at connectedu.network. Thanks for listening to this episode of the podcast. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode of the Higher Ed Geek Podcast.